Is the problem within the Pakistani community then?
That's
If we're going on the stats.
I think so. So the stats, I don't have all the records, and it's not exclusive to the Pakistani community. But I think you know what I've been told is it's not just the Pakistani community. Sometimes it's people from rural parts of Pakistan whose origins are there and whatever mindset and mentality. But I think that's a dangerous road to go down. Not so what the accusation is out there, not so we don't offend the minorities and so therefore we should cover things up. I think the failures ultimately with the grooming, it was a mixture. First of all, so it's easy to point the blame game. It's very easy to blame this, but first and foremost, it's the groomers themselves who are disgusting individuals. And look what's happened now because of the narrative which is within the far right. They're blaming me and my religion for some dirty little rat who's been doing what he's doing and destroying girls' lives. So they're at blame, first and foremost, the actual groomers themselves. Then you've got the local authorities who were covering this up. Then you've got the law enforcement, the police who were covering this up. Then you've got the wider communities who, because one of their relatives was involved, it's like shame and you sweep it under the carpet and don't mention to anybody. And let's not forget, if we're being honest, Liam, if we're being honest, again, the streets where I was brought up, the white working class British community, and this might hurt people, but I've got to say it, they didn't used to be champions of these girls back then when it was happening. They were calling them all kinds of names. They were calling them SLs and...
What's that one?
I can't say it.
Oh, for the podcast.
It's going to be bleeped anyway. So PAKISHAGGERS. That's what they were calling these young girls.
Right.
While they were being groomed and while they were being abused. All of a sudden now they're marching on the streets to protect the young girl. If you're honest, back in the day, you were cursing these girls and calling them rubbish just like anybody else. So everyone's let them down. Everybody's let them down. Ask them, if you ever come across with some of these girls who were groomed, ask them, how did your community treat you during this? So we've all failed. We've all failed. Now the question is, do we sit back and attack each other about what we've done and what we haven't done? Or do we, number one, try and kind of repair whatever damage has been done to, and it's probably never going to be repaired. You know, the girls who were involved with it are going to be scarred for life. I watched that documentary on Channel 4 recently.
What were your thoughts on it? On that documentary?
Very powerful. And
did it make you think there is a problem within my community?
Of course. I think
people just want to hear someone just say, do you know what, you're right, there's a problem.
Of course,
let's all deal with it.
Of course there is. We've recognised this. We've recognised this years ago. But when you're talking about, so within our community, it's not with the people who are regulars in the mosque, if that makes sense. These are people who are out clubbing and smoking weed anyway. They're not really that closely connected. And so even though it's frustrating, it's like, how do we even reach out to these people anyway?
Well, does a true Muslim follow the Quran to the letter, or does a true Muslim take bits and pieces that suits modern day life?
Well, I've never heard it be put like that. So the true Muslim takes the Quran with the associated context, and it's very dangerous to take things out of context, and that context has also been developed and explained over many centuries. And also, and this is a maxim of Islamic law, is that customs are at the forefront of deriving Islamic rulings. That's a really interesting one. Customs rule. And this is why I'm saying to you, so if you go to Muslim countries today, you will find that the age of consent in many of these countries is 18 years old. And that's because of their cultural customs. So another example is I once had a discussion with an Islamic judge from Abu Dhabi. And my question was, I said, you know, in the same way that non-Muslims aren't allowed to visit Mecca, my question, it was a technical legal question. I said, how about if non-Muslims are on an aeroplane flying over the airspace in Mecca? Are they allowed to do that? And he explained to me, he said, no, actually, the prohibition of non-Muslims visiting Mecca is not from the Islamic traditions. It's actually based on the customs of the people. So this idea that the customs and the culture of the people is important and it's at the forefront of deriving legal rulings. And so if you go to a Muslim country where the age of consent is 18, for example, not at the age of puberty, that will because the physicians have said maybe boys and girls are much more immature now, and they need to develop a little bit more. And it's a big topic.